All right, dude. Here we are.
Let's do it. I got mine on.
Oh, yeah, exactly. All right. So, how do we want to begin this? Robbie and I thought it might be good to have a little video conversation
Yep.
to lay the framework and the foundation for the possibility of the SigEp adventure going to Africa over Christmas break 2023. We ran into a little bit of conflict with trying to do something in May. Everyone's internships and summer work was jumping on board. So we thought, well, let's uh, rather than just not do anything, what are the other possibilities? One of the other possibilities we're exploring and to get the word out is the idea of going over to Uganda during Christmas break. So we thought maybe we'd re-record this video. We did think that we chose to do that. Let me
Yep.
restate that, right? And answer some questions and to feed this into the community to see what kind of interest level there is to participate in going to Africa. So all right, Robbie. What questions do you have that you want to shoot me, and then we could talk about those things. What do you think are the things that the gentlemen, the men, are going to want to maybe know more about as far as
Yeah.
Africa?
So I sent out a little document and there were some couple questions on there. There wasn't many, so I think I can just ask some general questions. I think I'll be able to fill in some of those cracks as well.
Okay.
But first question was just how will people be decided if there's like a surplus of people? And yeah, that's just the first
Well,
question.
that'd be a nice problem to have. That like a
Right.
surplus of
Right.
people. So I meant it. I do know that when we had that kind of challenge in the past, this was somewhat of a consensus that if you're a senior and this is your only chance to go, like that gives you probably rank and
Mhm.
priority in that decision making process. But I've also requested in the past that we also make sure that we get room for underclassmen, especially if there's a couple freshmen who are expressing interest and leadership capacity within the organization. It's good to have a variety because this is one of those rare chances that different classes get a chance. You remember this because you were a freshman,
I
right?
was a
When the
freshman,
first
right?
time you and your
Yeah.
brother came with me on that adventure out in the Niobrara,
Hmm.
and that what was that like for you as a freshman?
I mean, it was really cool. I got to see a ton of the upperclassmen who I just saw, at social events or like formals and stuff. I got to see them in like a more personal level. We did the kayaking down the river, and I got a kayak with a couple seniors, so I spent the whole afternoon with them, got to know them a lot better. Really cool experience. Really enjoyed it, and I still see them around today, and I always so happy to see them and like ask them how they're doing, what they're up to, and all that stuff. So it's just deeper bonds with those guys.
Yeah, it gives you an opportunity to create a deeper connection because the only way you can create those kinds of connections is to have structured time. Otherwise, you're sitting around at a party drinking a beer and you're not really talking about so much. Uh, I mean, you're talking around interesting things, possibly, right? But you're not talking about things that are like that shared experiences that change your perspective, how you see the world, and how you see yourself. So
Exactly.
it's a great way to connect generations of SIGEP within the same roof on a sacred trip. So, what else, buddy?
Um, Someone said, can the BizHa scholarship be applied? I don't think that is applicable already. So, because I think it doesn't have to do with like so much school related stuff, but like its own event. So it's kind of the answer for that one, I figure.
So they're looking for some support, probably,
Right.
and traditionally the foundation has helped in airfare. I
Hmm.
can't speak for that for sure, but I anticipate if precedence and tradition continues, that they'll find some way to
Right.
help support that process. And then there's other ways to do it too, but that's part of why we wanted to make this video right now.
Right.
Because if there is a serious interest, people can start thinking about that as they're making money over the summer or letting family members know, like if you're going to do this over Christmas, instead of getting more quote unquote stuff, help contribute to their trip to go to Africa to have a Christmas experience. But we need to do that now to have these conversations now, right?
Hmm.
Versus having this conversation. Well, you just don't go to Africa with a couple of weeks warning because there's a lot of logistics kind of things, dynamics that will have to take place in Africa and Uganda before we actually go. So that way everything's in place and things run smoothly. And
Hmm.
then we can have the experiences. We can focus on the transformational experiences versus trying to put out fires. And there's always going to be some issues that's just part of stepping out of what's familiar and comfortable. And then that's also how we develop those characteristics of um, character, right? To deal with whatever the unpredictable things that come up and find a way to mitigate or navigate through those things, right?
Right on. Exactly.
Ho, ho. All
Hope.
right, what other questions you got, buddy?
So this is actually the last question, and I can already answer it, but it's do they need a passport? And yes, they need a passport.
Yeah, if you don't have a passport and you're really thinking about going, get one now. And
Yep.
it's good for 10 years.
Hmm.
And the process is definitely slowed up. It's taken longer than normal. So if you're even remotely thinking about going on this trip, you want to start applying for that passport now over the summer. You don't want to wait till October or even August. You should be in gear to get that done because uh, the clock is now ticking, which is why we're doing this conversation, right, Robbie? So
Right.
that way
Right.
we want to get people on board, prepared, and ready to go so we don't have those kind of obstacles in the way that shouldn't be or don't need to be, right? Don't
Hmm.
need to be stopping people from going if they really think they're going to go. And besides, it's good for 10 years. This is not the only trip abroad that hopefully we take as an organization. Next year, I anticipate if they don't change the academic calendar, this might be when we start doing the SigEp trip, right?
Right. Right.
Because 6 weeks at Christmas time, that's a huge amount of time to fill. I guess if unless you're trying to do some winter work kind of stuff, but
Yeah.
why not enriching it and create shared experiences with your brothers, do some transformational work, have it go on, be of service, um, connect with nature, and then live into the experiences of what it means to be the balanced man and have a rite of passage almost into that through shared experiences. I mean, we can read about the balanced man and all those concepts, but when you actually put action and apply them to life experiences, that's where the change and the transformation starts to happen. Make sense?
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
So,
And then I guess that was kind of it on the questions, but maybe just
but
give like a general I know I sent out that link about like what the previous trip over the summer will look like, but maybe just
mhm.
more in-depth sort of like details about we're going from I think December 27th through June 11th is what we
Not
decided.
June 11th. That would be a
Or
6 month
January
trip,
11th.
dude. That would be awesome, though.
That would be, yeah, that would be
that,
amazing.
that would be epic.
January 11th. And then just maybe like where we're staying and everything like that. If you have
Okay, well, I can give it like a general framework, and of course, sometimes these things change a little bit, so I had to put the disclaimers out there. But we would all leave to I think the 27th. Isn't that a Wednesday? December 27th? I can't quite recall, but basically a couple days after Christmas, so people have a chance to be at home, have the Christmas experience with their families, and then we rendezvous in Omaha, and then we'll travel together from Omaha and end up in Kampala, Uganda. Traditionally, you fly through Europe, either Amsterdam or Frankfurt, Germany, or something like that, and then we drop down into Uganda from there. We'll land, and then in the past we have hooked up with an organization, a nonprofit organization called Soft Power, whose purpose and mission is to help restore schools, neglected public schools in the bush. And this is the roughest part of the trip, and we'll be staying on or sleeping on cement floors with the air mattresses and things that we bring. We bring our own mosquito nets, basically set up camp in school, and then we refurbish those schools wherever we're at. We paint them or whatever projects and stuff they need. So um, imagine Habitat for Humanity a little bit on in an African experience, and definitely roughing it. There's no shower. There's bucket baths, but it's a challenging situation. But we I was talking to somebody this weekend. I was doing a keynote in Omaha, and we so glorify being comfortable that we risk the value of developing the character that comes from intentionally stepping outside of what's familiar and comfortable so we can have new experiences. This is definitely a new and challenging experience for anyone. It was for me the first time, and it still will be for me the next time that I go, but I always become a better version of me as a result of letting go of comfortable so I can discover something new and different. Make sense?
Absolutely, yeah,
Right?
definitely.
So in the bush, we would spend probably 5, 6 days at a school. I had to go back and evaluate that a little bit and
Hmm.
get that done. And then when we're done with that, then we whitewater raft the Nile. When we're done with that school project, we whitewater raft the Nile for a day. That is always epic, amazing water. and it's warm. So if some of the
Oh,
fellows have water rafted in the past, it's usually cold water coming out of the mountains. This
mhm.
comes out of Lake Victoria. It's like jumping in the bathtub. It's really beautiful water and serious water. I mean, like, they call some of these rapids the scary spot. I mean, that's what the Ugandans call them. It's really neat stuff. And then after we've had that experience, then we will regroup a little bit, and then we head into go on a safari. I don't want you guys bring you all the way to Africa and not have a wild animal experience. It's one thing to see the animals in the Omaha Henry Doorly Zoo, which
Mm,
are amazing,
right,
but to go out there and be a guest in their home and in their world, and to observe animals in the wild is just life changing. And it helps us appreciate the natural world in a way that we understand that we need to take care of it and do our part to preserve it, protect it, so that it has a chance to continue, its purpose and an opportunity to be alive and be a part of this incredible place called home and earth, right? And
right,
seeing
right.
animals in the wild is a great way to help facilitate and energize that commitment.
Absolutely.
And then overlaid in all this, of course, are coaching conversations. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna so that way it's not just having stimulation and experiences, but to how to integrate those things and internalize those things so that way we can use those to help us make reflect on those things on how we make choices and
mhm,
awareness, how we want to move forward, moving into the best version of ourselves or the balanced man, and what that looks like for us now and what it could look like for us in the future and the difference that we want to make with that new awareness and insight. Okay.
right on. And then I know for the Ecuador trip, we had to get some of those vaccinations for, I think it was like yellow fever.
Yeah,
Is it
you'll wanna get, you'll you'll wanna get yellow fever while
uh-huh,
we're before you go, and then traditionally, malaria can be a challenge in certain
mhm.
parts of Africa and Uganda. It usually has hot spot pockets, but you'll wanna basically, you're gonna wanna be on an anti-malaria regimen of Malarone, and the University of Nebraska health system, they're all tuned into that, and they can tell you what to get. And I'm not sure if they I don't know if they can provide that for you. I think they
They
can,
they
but I'm
they
not
can.
completely sure. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, good.
I remember last year that they were really smooth with it all. We went in there. They had a really funny doctor who was with us actually. She ran through everything, what we needed, and she gave us, like, what dates we had to take it and all that. So it was a really smooth operation on that side.
Yeah, you guys are so lucky that you got that because that is an important piece that can be complicated if you don't have that kind of service right there at your fingertips. So,
Mhm.
good on you at University of Nebraska providing something useful. So we can
Correct,
take
correct.
these guys out of the box of familiar and take them into the world and have a life-changing experience and not let that get in the way, huh?
Mhm, mhm.
All right. What else, dude?
How was
Dude, do they even say dude anymore? I'm really dating myself in this. Like,
I yeah, definitely get some dudes around here and there.
okay,
Absolutely.
good. All right, nice.
Maybe just anything that you think we should cover?
Well, like why go? Why do you think we should go? Yeah.
Oh, I
I
mean,
mean, Robbie, sorry.
from the going on the past 2 trips, the Niobrara and the Ecuador one, I mean, it's definitely life-changing experiences, you're definitely living the balanced man. You're going to these places, you're challenging yourself, you're opening your scope of the world, you're getting to know, different cultures, and you're immersing yourself in these cultures, and you get to really see, the world from a different point of view. You get to grow in, like, gratitude of how we live over in Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, or wherever you're from.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, developing the bonds with the brothers. Yeah, that's huge. You get to see these guys even after we still talk in our old Ecuador group chat about all the memories. I mean, it's truly one of a lifetime experience. And I think like this time of our lives is the best time to do it because, we don't have like kids or a wife to worry about. We don't have like a ton of bills coming in.
Right, right.
So I think like this is the time to do it. Find and any means necessary, really, and it starts now. I feel like is the best time to do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I love that this is the best time. And I would add one more reason why this is the best time because you will have the rest of your life to pull from this experience.
Right, right.
It will change how you see the world and it will change how you see yourself. And that's going to impact the choices that you make, the decisions that you make, and the the impact that you will have.
Mhm,
Some of
mhm.
these guys come back. I know they come back sometimes on occasion, change their major or whatever, but it's whether they change their major or not, that's not the point. It just what that means is you have more clarity on what's really important to you. So you spend less time spinning your wheels in doubt and more time taking intentional actions, which then leads to different outcomes, right? Then you're a force to be reckoned with. And this kind of experiences overlaid with some coaching conversations can really sharpen that process for people that then you can use as a tool as you move forward.
Yeah, those coaching conversations are huge too. I remember even just the morning exercises. I still try to do those every so often. The journal, the three
Yeah,
G's.
good,
It's
good, yeah. Feeding those dreams, baby.
yeah.
If we're gonna become the best version of ourselves, we have to be intentional about feeding those dreams, the mental fitness, right? You don't
Mhm.
go to the gym once and say, "All right, I'm a fit dude." It doesn't work that way, right? You got to
Right,
go to the
right.
gym. How often? Even young dudes like you all, like need if you're gonna have strength and conditioning, you have to be consistent in that process, in that habit. The same thing goes with our mindset. If we're not working on our mindset, if we're not creating mental fitness, then we run the risk of being reactionary, and we also run the risk of getting distracted in other people's agendas and are not necessarily doing the work to move our own goals and hopes and dreams forward. It is so easy to get distracted. Way
Mhm.
more easy than when I was at your stage of this game because we didn't even have cell phones back then. We had
Yeah.
3 television stations, right? So I feel fortunate that I grew up without that stuff. So I'm trying to figure out how to help you all navigate all these things that are trying to grab your attention. So that way
Mhm.
you can be more focused and intentional and invest more energy on the things that matter to you all, which is moving your hopes and your dreams and your contribution forward in the context of being a well-balanced man, because that's a great structure to help us guide us to move forward in a good way, right? Those are not random words. Those are amazing words that help us to show up as a better version of ourselves. But we have to make sure we're taking consistent action through awareness, through development, through engagement, through community, which is what the SigEp Alpha chapter is about. Because
Mhm.
doing it together makes, many hands makes what? Lighter work.
At work, right? Yeah.
Right, and that's what we're gonna be doing in the schools, and that's how we'll support each other to learn and grow when we're in Africa, okay?
Right on.
Dude,
Right on.
this sound
Yeah.
good? So,
Oh, yeah.
alright, so what we need to do is start, like, if people are really interested in going, what should they do?
Uh, well, I'll probably make a group chat coming up.
And should they reach out to you then?
Yeah, they can reach out to me,
Right.
and if they have more questions, reach out to me, and I can send them to you or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Excuse me. And if they got more questions, we can do a group Zoom sometime, but this
right,
whole
yeah.
purpose of this video was to say, "Hey, we're serious about exploring this idea
Mhm.
of making this happen. It's
Right,
our time,
right.
right? And if those are who are going to be seniors, this is your time.
Mhm.
There ain't no like there's no redo on this. Some of my best, I should say, my biggest disappointments were those that first time when COVID broke out, we had to pull the rug on everything. And those senior guys, they never got a chance beyond that, right?
Yep.
And so I don't want that to be somebody else in this community who really is thinking about going. This is your time.
Yeah,
And eventually all they had to do is decide. And once you decide, then you say, all right, how do I make this happen? And then start to reach out to those who've gone in the past. They can help guide you. You're going to want to get a passport, and we can
mhm.
start to have more conversations about answering more people's questions. The other thing is you're going to want to let people know in your family that you want to do this so they can support you. And we'll
Right.
have a parent meeting at some time in the fall. So that way we can make sure that's not in the way of people's concerns. Cause part of mom's roles is to what?
Concerned.
Work. Yeah,
Yeah.
be worried. All right. So we
Worry
want
all the
to,
time, right.
yeah. So we want to address all that kind of stuff so people
Mhm.
can be at peace and they can feel comfortable and then we can go in a good way and learn and grow and have experiences that change our lives. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, so they get a hold of you. They want to
Yep.
know more, and then
Uh-huh.
we will continue this conversation. What you probably want to start doing, Robbie, is let's create a list of
Yep.
who's like thinking about it and who's like, no, I'm going to figure out how to make this
Right.
happen. Put them on a scale 1 to 10 or something like that. Where are you? Ask them where are you on a 1 to 10. Ask them what else they need to know in order to like make the decision to go. Who they would need to get on board to make. You're going to you got to get your folks on board,
Yep.
right?
Number
Uh,
1, that's right, number
right.
1.
Got that this is going to happen, and then you're probably going to want to start reaching out to the alumni foundation and let them
Mhm.
know that, hey, we want to make this happen. um, are you on board again, just to
Right,
get all
right.
those things in place?
They
Okay.
likely are, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't imagine not, but we definitely want to make sure everybody's on the same boat so we're all rowing in the same direction.
Right.
and something like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, dude. Hey,
Yeah. Great talking to you.
you too, as always, is a pleasure. Well balanced man, the chance to live into that, and we will be in